Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, where the world has once again looked at war, gas prices, healthcare rules, baby investment accounts, and a bright blue reflecting pool and said, yeah, that all seems perfectly normal. Folks, today's news feels like somebody dumped a Pentagon briefing, a Wall Street spreadsheet, a pharmacy coupon, and a can of pool paint into a blender and hit liquefy. We got the Strait of Hormuz acting like the world's clogged fuel filter, China waiting across the chessboard with a calculator, and American families trying to figure out whether filling the gas tank now requires a small business loan. So grab your coffee, secure your debit card, and emotionally prepare yourself. Because today's chaos is wearing boots and tracking mud through the kitchen. Segment 1. Hormuz, Warships, and the world's most expensive traffic jam. The biggest story is still the mess with Iran, because apparently 2026 decided the global economy needed to be held together by naval escorts, diplomatic panic, and oil tankers sweating like sinners at revival. Operation Epic Fury has been going since late February, with the United States and Israel hammering Iranian military sites, missile production, air defenses, and command centers. Officials say the conventional military objectives have mostly been achieved, which is government language for, we broke a lot of expensive stuff, but the problem still has teeth. Iran's old power structure is battered, its military infrastructure is wrecked, and reports of foreign militia forces helping with checkpoints in Tehran make the regime look less like a government and more like a haunted gas station trying to stay open during a tornado. That is not stability. That is a country running on fumes, fear, and duct tape. But the real problem is the Strait of Hormuz, that skinny little waterway that suddenly matters more than every motivational poster in a corporate break room. Iran closed it, America blockaded Iranian ports, and now everybody is trying to decide whether this is a war, a negotiation, or the world's most terrifying boat parade. Project Freedom was supposed to escort commercial ships through the danger zone, but it got paused for talks after Pakistani mediators stepped in, which sounds calming until you remember drones are still buzzing ships like angry wasps around a Mountain Dew can. The grounded reality is simple. You can flatten runways and missile sites, but reopening a vital shipping lane without triggering a bigger war is a different kind of beast. It is like winning a bar fight, then realizing the bar is on fire, your truck is blocked in, and the guy holding the keys wants sanctions relief. Segment 2. Gas pump heartburn and stagflation sweat. Now, because Hormuz is clogged up tighter than a county fair funnel cake artery, gas prices are doing that fun thing where every fill-up feels like a hostage negotiation with a nozzle. Average gasoline has surged past the comfort zone and into the emotional damage zone, where people start talking to their vehicles like sick relatives. You pull up to pump number 4, and suddenly your debit card starts acting like it has a pre-existing condition. It ain't just gas is high anymore. It's, do I really need to visit my cousin? Or can I just wave toward his house from a distance and call that family bonding? The uglier part is that fuel costs don't stay parked at the gas station. They crawl into groceries, shipping, electricity, construction, airline tickets, and every product moved by a truck driven by a man named Earl who has strong opinions about biscuits. Inflation gets hotter. Interest rate cuts get postponed. Mortgages stay painful, and families get squeezed until payday feels like a rumor started by bankers. Meanwhile, tech stocks keep floating on artificial intelligence excitement. Gold is climbing because investors are scared, and the economy looks split between people building supercomputers and people wondering if ramen counts as financial planning. The grounded observation is that energy inflation works like a hidden tax nobody voted for and everybody pays. You can announce trillions in future investment all day long, but a future factory does not help a parent today when the minivan sounds like it needs an exorcism and the gas pump just ate $60 for breakfast. Segment 3. Trump accounts and baby's first stock portfolio. While families are getting mugged at the pump, the administration is pushing Trump accounts, which are investment accounts for kids, because apparently childhood now comes with crayons, nap time, and exposure to domestic equities. The idea is to give eligible children a tax-advantaged account, including a one-time $1,000 seed for certain newborns, with parents, relatives, employers, and approved third parties able to contribute more. On paper, it sounds like a patriotic piggy bank with a Wall Street hat. Every kid gets a starting point, the money grows over time, and by adulthood maybe they have a little financial cushion instead of just student debt, rent panic, and a used car with one window that only works when it feels patriotic. But here comes the catch. Because American policy never hands you a sandwich without asking whether your parents already own a deli. A family living paycheck to paycheck may not be able to add much beyond the initial seed, while a wealthy family can max out contributions year after year and let compound growth do laps around everybody else. That means one kid gets a modest starter fund, while another kid gets a financial snowball rolling downhill with a corporate sponsor and a helmet. The grounded part is that asset building can be useful, but the design risks turning inequality into a long-term subscription plan. It is like telling every child they can join the fishing derby, then giving rich kids a bass boat, sonar, private bait, and a man named Mitchell to whisper investment advice into the tackle box. Segment 4. Trump RX, IVF, and the healthcare coupon rodeo. Next up is healthcare, where the administration is trying to lower specific drug costs and expand fertility benefits, which is good news wrapped in a rulebook thick enough to stop a possum at highway speed. Trump RX is tied to the most favored nation drug pricing push, where certain medicines are supposed to be offered closer to the lowest prices paid in comparable wealthy countries. That has led to splashy price cuts on some high-demand drugs, including weight loss treatments and fertility medications. For people paying cash, uninsured patients, or families drowning in out-of-pocket costs, those savings can be real. If a medication drops from "sell the base boat and call your uncle" to "painful but possible," that is still something. The fertility rule is also a big deal because it would let employers offer standalone fertility benefits separate from major health insurance, kind of like dental or vision coverage, except instead of getting a crown fixed, you're trying to start a family without needing a bank heist. IVF can cost as much as a used car, and not even a nice used car. I mean one of them lot specials where the salesman says the check engine light is part of the vehicle's personality. A standalone fertility benefit with a high lifetime cap could help a lot of workers, especially younger families stuck between hope and a medical bill that looks like it was written by a Bond villain. But the grounded reality is that employer-based benefits still depend on your employer offering them, your insurer structuring them, and your life lining up with the fine print. Healthcare in America is still a maze where relief shows up wearing a coupon code, a legal disclaimer, and shoes that squeak ominously down the hallway. Segment 5. China, trade, and showing up to the summit with gas receipts. Now, while America is busy juggling Iran, oil shocks, drug prices, and baby brokerage accounts, China is sitting across the global table polishing its calculator. The president is scheduled to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, and the timing could not be more awkward if it arrived wearing cargo shorts to a funeral. The United States wants trade wins, economic relief, and a show of strength, but it is walking into the meeting while the Strait of Hormuz remains unstable, and energy prices are punching voters directly in the wallet. China has spent this time securing influence in critical minerals, artificial intelligence, manufacturing, and energy diplomacy. That does not make Beijing magical, but it does mean they are not walking in with gas station trauma and a blockade migraine. The administration's broader strategy is also shifting toward trade over aid, pressuring international institutions and cutting or restructuring foreign assistance in ways supporters call hard-nosed economic statecraft and critics call turning humanitarian policy into a corporate loyalty program. That is the kind of phrase that sounds smart until you picture a relief worker being replaced by a spreadsheet wearing cowboy boots. The grounded observation is that power is not just about how hard you can hit. It is also about what you can stabilize after everybody stops ducking. If America cannot quickly calm energy markets, reassure allies, and manage its domestic costs, China gets to present itself as patient and steady, even while playing its own ruthless game. It is global chess, except half the board is on fire, the rook needs diesel, and somebody pawned the clock to pay the electric bill. Segment 6. Blue pools, media food fights, and America's attention span. And because no American crisis is complete without a side quest that sounds invented by a cable news fever dream, Washington is also arguing over the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool being coated bright American flag blue. Yes, while the world is dealing with war, oil shocks, diplomacy, healthcare reform, market instability, and the cost of living, the government found time to make a historic reflecting pool look like a backyard swimming pool behind a timeshare condo. There are concerns about the aesthetics, the maintenance, the environmental impact, the cost, and a no-bid contract connected to a company with ties to presidential properties. That is the kind of detail that makes watchdogs start barking like somebody kicked over a cooler full of raw hamburger. When the government paints history like it got a coupon from the pool supply store, people are allowed to ask who is getting paid and why the algae is now patriotic. Meanwhile, the media ecosystem is melting down like cheese on a dashboard. Trump media reported giant losses with tiny operating revenue. The White House is attacking comedians and anchors. Legacy outlets are seeing audience drops. And People.com is growing because apparently celebrity gossip now feels safer than geopolitics. Honestly, I understand it. You can only read so many headlines about uranium, blockades, inflation, courts, corruption, and drone attacks before your brain starts begging for a story about a famous person's dog wearing sunglasses. The grounded observation is that attention has become one of the most valuable resources in America. Politicians use spectacle to redirect it. Media companies fight to monetize it. And regular people are just trying to preserve enough of it to remember where they parked at Walmart. In conclusion, today's news is one giant pressure cooker with a flag sticker slapped on the side and a receipt hanging out the bottom. The Iran conflict is still dragging global energy through a ditch. Gas prices are squeezing families like a python in a convenience store, and the economy is trying to brag about future investment, while ordinary people stare at present-day bills like they contain a ransom demand. Trump accounts might help some kids build assets, but they also risk giving wealthy families a turbocharged lane while everyone else gets a starter kit and a prayer. Healthcare reforms may bring real relief in narrow places, especially for fertility care and some expensive drugs. But the system still looks like it was designed by accountants trapped in an escape room. China is waiting at the summit table with leverage, while America shows up carrying a gas can, a war plan, and a speech about strength. And back home, we are painting reflecting pools blue, fighting with comedians, watching the media audience scatter, and wondering why the national mood feels like a busted carnival ride operated by a hedge fund. So that's where we are. Big wars, big bills, big promises, and a country just trying to make it to payday without needing a ceasefire at pump number 4.